and welcome to your favorite analysis of major topical issues of the week. Inside the Media is its name. This program is simulcast on Radio FM 100. Our quote for today comes from Oscar Wilde. It says, "Life is too important to be taken seriously." It's funny, right? Life is too important to be taken seriously, says Oscar Wilde. Okay, let's look at our major headlines for today. SLAJ ends 2018 Biennial Conference in Kenema. Policy documents to repeal criminal libel due next week. Bukel Commercial and Sierra Leone Commercial Bank workers protest. Failed Native Consortium demonstration. Why? And we are going to look at the effects of torrential rains in some communities in Freetown. All these including your text messages that you will send to the number 077-685518 and your WhatsApp messages that you will send through the number 076812174 from major parts of this program Inside the Media. Well, let me quickly introduce my studio analyst for this program. With me in the studio, I have the Emperor Bailo Jalo just by my side. Good morning.
Good morning, Lucian.
I have Melvin Tijan Mansare. Good morning.
It's a pleasure to be here.
And I also have Kevin Lamin-Lamdo. Good morning.
Good morning.
I think we all need to welcome Mr. Melvin Tijan Mansare. You're welcome.
I think this is my maiden presentation here, yes. But I've been part of the press review, though it's been a while.
Okay.
I'm pleased to be here.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tijan Mansare. My name is Lucian Ganda, and we are starting the ball rolling. Don't forget, you are to send in your role is to send in your text and WhatsApp messages. The text line is 077-685518, and the WhatsApp line is 076-812174. The Sierra Leone Association of Journalists, SLAJ, has ended its 2018 Biennial Conference in Kenema. We have the reports by Princess Gibson.
The State of the Association report by the President of the Sierra Leone Association of Journalists briefed its membership on the trend of the association for 2017. President Lewis, in his report, disclosed that the period under review saw less police involvement with journalists.
In the year under review, which is 2017 to 2018, we fortunately did not have to go to the CID too much. And I don't even remember that we had to go to the CID for anybody, which shows that I think people are now practicing a little bit more professionally. So, despite reports of intimidation, harassment, and that not, we had only 2 serious incidents.
Although the trend shows some level of self-regulation of the media, there are huge concerns over reports of ethical violation during the 2018 elections. According to the Media Monitoring Committee of SLAJ for the 2018 elections, 30% of the media violated ethical codes and practice.
And I'm going to name them later on in this presentation, and I'm sorry they're not here to hear them. So the official title of this presentation is this: We're not afraid to name names. And I'm going to show you some pictures. So some of these pictures you will remember. Newspapers that preach the guidelines. Remember the SLAJ guidelines in the INC code. Tribalism, regionalism, hate speech, defamation, libel, offensive language, conduit journalism, paid for play. How many of you made money over the elections? Come on, we all did.
President Lewis told journalists that the media should not be used as a tool for political battle and cautioned journalists to practice professionally. On the beating and death of journalist Ibrahim Samura, he noted that post-mortem result has seen the intervention of the state, which the association will support. A joint committee has also been set up to develop a document on the repeal of the criminal libel law for presentation to Parliament and Cabinet. The Minister of Information and Communications, Mohamed Gadou Souare, called for greater investigative journalism to seek the truth.
The media must put greater emphasis on investigative journalism. With the primary and probing skills of the media, this nation can never be deceived again if we employ that with an open mind, without fear and favor.
He also registered government's commitment to repeal the criminal libel law. A key resolution that was recorded is the development of a gender policy for the Sierra Leone Association of Journalists. Princess Gibson, SLBC News.
Well, thanks to Princess Gibson for that report. You've all heard from the report there. Some of the issues that came up were journalists are now practicing more professionalism, huge concerns over ethical violations, beating and death of a journalist, political violations, investigative journalism, repeal of criminal libel law, and one key resolution of a gender policy there. We've all listened to the report. Let us post-mortem and see how the media could improve on some of these areas that were highlighted. I start with you, Emperor Bailo Jalloh.
Thank you, Lucia.
But you were not there, though.
Yeah, I wasn't there.
Why didn't you attend the AGM?
Well, due to some circumstances beyond
financial.
My control. Yeah. Anyway, many thanks and appreciation to you all, the membership of SLAJ and the executive, for concluding a very wonderful AGM. And I do believe that with that all, it's another milestone in the media landscape of this country. And if you listen to our president, Kelvin Lewis, that we don't need to go to CID because it is some amount of professionalism by some journalists. And I think by so doing, that will continue to help us to shape the minds, and behavior of journalists in this country. Then also the Minister of Information and Communications, Mohamed Rahman Souare, popularly called Radu, that the commitment of government to this. And investigative journalism is very much important. But for us in Sierra Leone, it's very difficult because three things involved. These three things that involved make it very difficult for us. A third world country, third world journalism is very difficult. The risk, the time, and the resources involved. And if you're talking about the repeal of Part 5 of the Public Order Act of 1965, somebody has to go beyond, you have to go beyond the limit in order to unearth, to expose society at least and raise public awareness. So I think it's very much important for us. Then you also mentioned here that the gender policy is very much important. Some people want to misconstrue when we talk about 50-50 or gender equality. It doesn't mean that the man should supersede the woman, neither the woman should supersede the man. It's a matter of peaceful coexistence, meaning man and woman should work side by side.
Do you believe in that?
No, but I believe in that if at all there is if there is a proper method.
Because most men don't want to go with that.
Well, I think to me, the method, but that is why I'm saying that Sierra Leone democracy and human rights to be reviewed, because it's taking a different dimension. Because the original plan or the original policy or the original idea of the 50-50 is man and woman to work side by side. If you understand, it's not a matter of challenging the man. The woman should challenge the man. Neither the man should bully the woman because of the gender disparity. But here is a country that the human rights campaigners and even civil society actors, perhaps they misconstrue, they misinform and mislead the public that 50-50 meaning women should challenge. Women should also have their own limits. They have their rights, they also have their responsibility and limits as well. So if they put it that way, it should be a two-track approach so that people can understand. Even the last man, the last woman in the village could understand that gender does not mean that it's a matter of bullying, a battle of win and loss or whatsoever. So I think that's why it's also very important. Then SLAJ should continue with utmost support as far as the repeal of Part 5 of the Public Order Act of 1965 become a real one.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, you've just listened to the Emperor Bailo Jalloh. We are moving on to the next person here, who is Melvin Tijan Mansare. Melvin, your take on all of these points that came up during the report, the SLAJ AGM.
I think it was realistic. It was a realistic projection of the media landscape here in Sierra Leone for the fact that we have data to present.
Yeah.
Firstly, 30% violation on election reporting. meaning that there is a need for more training of journalists in covering election. But there is a deeper angle to it, editorial ownership. Yeah. We know so many media outlets are owned by persons that are not far from politics or in politics. So that's the case. I think SLAJ, IMC and others should be looking from the direction, because the journalists will want to practice ethically. I mean, but if your boss is having an agenda politically, that will definitely
stand on issue.
It's another issue. On the issue of gender, I think I'm a bit concerned with the statistics, saying that firstly we need facts. How many women journalists do we have? Is it not enough? What are,
is it on that basis that the gender policy comes to play?
I think that should be the intent behind that gender policy, for the fact that we know we have women journalists. But I think we need to take it further than that, having the data on how many women journalists are practicing, what are their success stories, what are the challenges, and how that can be developed. Because if we are to talk on gender, then we should be very careful as journalists. I know for us in Parliament, we have a lot of female journalists. They are doing very well. Generally, the likes of the Betty Milton, the Jane, and others, even here yourself, the likes of the Awabai and Salmata, you're all doing well. So, broadening that scope on the gender aspect, I think we need clarity on that, because it should not be about man or woman in the media, but how they are performing. And I believe we have a lot of women journalists that are performing very, very well. On the issue of the Joint Committee on the repeal, for me, I think that is a turning issue. It's been there since ages, from the days of the late President Kaba to President Ernest Koroma, and now under President Julius Bio, and all has been promises. And for now, taking it further than promises is what I think we should be, concerned or focused about. And for here, the committee is good. What's the term of reference of the committee? What's the timeline in which they should submit their report? On the other hand, we've been hearing about this repeal. What's the status on the hand of the government? All of these issues, I think we should look. But again, there's a bottom line there. The public, particularly those that are in the official world, always feel that if you repeal this law, what about the protection of our credibility, of our personality? Because we know, yes, we have a very good number of journalists, but we have others, because of one reason or the other, that are having ill motives in using the media. So in that area, should it be a repeal? Should it be an expunging? Or what should suffice? And I think that has been the problem.
But I think that's going to be looked into seriously before the repeal.
Yeah, that is why you have to, in fact, the replacement there should be civil action. The civil law is there.
Okay, whatever it is, there's going to be a kind of structure that will be in place to protect the rights of the people.
Let me just land by saying, it seems as if the government is serious. We only hope that it will yield dividend, because some previous governments have been expressing similar concerns, but I doubt if it's at this scale. So we hope there will be fruitful results out of it, that this law be repealed or expunged or whatever the case may be, because it doesn't only affect journalists, it affects a whole lot of people. So for me, I think SLAJ is on track, and the public should appreciate SLAJ for the fact that I think SLAJ, yes, the journalists have stood the test of time. No matter what you say, you have credible journalists. The public are dependent on, the public depends on the media to give them the information. So for me, I think the media landscape is fast growing, and we must go with the trend. Although something on social media, I think we should be considering seriously, because social media is posing, well, I will not call it a threat to traditional journalism. I think it's a complement to traditional journalism, for the fact that we see, Facebook, WhatsApp, they are all exploding. And how should the SLBC here be broadcasting, and probably someone walking along the streets having a share of that? All of these are the new trends. So for me, I think, yes, we have a long way to go, but we are growing, though poverty in the media is killing us, and we need to look into that.
That will be looked into. Thank you very much, Melvin Tijan Mansere. Thank you. Let's move on now over to Kevin Amelamdo. Kevin.
Yeah, I want to take the cue from you about the criminal libel law. And the law does not say any journalist. It says any person. So that makes it general. It's not specifically for journalists alone. But we are taking the lead because I think it bites us more, especially in the face of a political situation, because now I don't think too much politics is around, so journalists, some of them are behaving better. But when it's time for politics, then they will jump on the bandwagon and then they will begin to misbehave. But generally, in terms of the media stuff, the gender stuff about the media we are talking about, it all boils down back to, because when we talk about gender, it's not about just female, it's about female and male as well. It's the roles, you understand? And in the media, the roles have been performed practically clear, because women are still, serving as reporters, as administrators, likewise men. So I think we do not have too much of a problem. It's more women in media leadership that I think people are talking about. But be that as it may, it is a natural phenomenon and it will solve itself. When women rise to positions, you see what they do, and then you have the appetite to keep them there and increase more women participation in terms of media leadership. But again, we're talking about the political economy and media poverty. You just touched on it, Melvin. Media poverty. The way media organizations are administered in the country is a point of concern. There are models of better media management within the media landscape in Sierra Leone. I don't want just to name names, but there are very credible media administrations that you see around both newspapers and radios and even television stations. But there are many more media houses that, the administrative process there is not thorough, and that makes for people to see the media landscape as just a bunch of, people who do not have something to do, coming to do things, and then people who do not have any business in the media coming into meddle. But the reality is that administration is not something that comes from a void. It's something that should be planned, it should be well crafted and delivered. So if it is well delivered, then we will not see this problem of gender disparity or otherwise within the media landscape. So, but by and large, it's a good AGM, and I for one believe, because I've been following media reports and I've been listening to people of authority speak. I have faith that this time around, the Part 5 of the Criminal Libel Law or the Public Order Act will be looked into, and it is not for the government to just expunge it, even though we may not be wholeheartedly in favor of it, but it is a checkmate for bad expression. I don't want to say bad journalism, because it says any person, it does not say any journalist. So any other people could just come and slander people or do libelous things. But however, what I'm saying, I have faith now, because as early as this time, because some government, it is at their last year they will decide to talk about this criminal libel thing. But now this, within their 100 days, they are talking about it. So I have reasons to believe them, and I am challenging them now to do not prove me wrong in the face of the public, but to do what you plan to do. But please, it should not be done in a rush because we want to please the journalists. It should be done in a way that we will protect people who have hard-earned reputations to protect, and the law should be there to protect those reputations. And I believe there have been safeguards in the past, but it's that we are not aware of them, or some people are aware, but they want to take the fast-track approach, which is the police side of things. Because when you go to the police, the offender will be arrested, detained, sent to Pademba within 24 hours, or maybe spending a whole weekend there, and it will be the Moses Lord do me I do you, and I will be going out saying that I don't lock her up. That's the short fast-track approach. But there are many other approaches to people's reputation being saved, especially the civil way that Emperor said just now. I know of a renowned person in this country who took a renowned person in this country to book, and he did not go the fast-track way. He went through the civil way, and he got his way, and in fact it beat more than the criminal way. It beats more, because where you are asked to repair the person's image by paying a certain compensation to himself, his family, and to even compensate. You do a lot of things, and if you don't have that money, you know the other things that will come using the law itself. They are there, but people are not au fait. So the working group, I want to see them exploring all the avenues that, even though they are decriminalizing it, but they are putting safeguards that people's hard-earned reputations are maintained.
Okay. Thank you very much, Kelvin Lamin Lamdo. The program is Inside the Media, live on SLBC Radio, FM 100, and television. My name is Lucy Anganda. You can send in your comments as text or WhatsApp messages. The text line is 077-685518, and the WhatsApp line is 076-812174. We are moving on to the next issue here. The director of Native Consortium, Edmond Abu, who staged protests over increase in fuel pump price, was arrested, detained and released by the police. Yet, he says, his position on the increase in pump price of fuel remains the same. Why did the protest fail? But before that, let's quickly just listen to the report.
For the poor people of Sierra Leone, Mr. Abu told newsmen that their next step is to submit a 30-page report to President Bio on the increase in the pump price of petroleum products. Following the increase in pump price of the fuel last week from 6,000 leones to 8,000 leones, Mr. Abu on Tuesday led a protest against the increase in Freetown, which led to his arrest by police for interrogation on alleged illegal possession. He was later released the same day on self-bail. This notwithstanding, Edmond Abu Jr. said that they are a credible think tank organization that will never be involved in disorderly behavior.
Because of subsidy, we cannot reduce the pump price. And come November 2016, they increased the price of fuel from 3,750 per litre to 6,000. We all knew. And then they talk about subsidy, IMF. Oh, we don't put subsidy. There's no more subsidy. Subsidy is gone. I mean, how do we... 2016 talk about subsidy. 2015 talk about subsidy. 2017, we went to the IMF to take the ECF loan. We talk about subsidy. 2018 talk about, and we need to checkmate the subsidy.
He maintained that they started raising the issue of fuel subsidy issue in 2015 under the regime of former President Ernest Bai Koroma. Edmond Abu Jr. noted that this is not the first time he has been arrested, reiterating that the late President Ahmad Tijan Kaba arrested and sent him to prison for standing for the rights of Sierra Leoneans. The Financial and Governance Advisor Native Consortium, Thomas Legg, said prior to the arrest of Edmond Abu Jr., the Native Consortium wrote to the police stating the time, route and destination of the protest action.
Well, thanks to Rose Kurima Stevens for that report. And let's look at the report itself and the issue. Why did the protest fail? I begin with you, Emperor Bailo Jello.
Thank you. I think I like the word you mentioned there, fail. Because fail due to circumstances makes something not to happen. And in this case, we're talking about Sierra Leone is a law-abiding country. And Sierra Leone, we are talking about the welfare of the people, we are talking about the right of the people. So in this case, the Sierra Leone police is saying that Edmond Abu Jr., the executive director of Native Consortium, did not go through the normal procedure to stage a particular protest. While Edmond Abu said that he has the right, as a citizen, the police is only there to provide security for the people or for the demonstrators. So it's a peaceful protest displaying placards, for the people or the authorities concerned to see to know exactly that the pump price of fuel, the increase of fuel price is not good for the people of this country, making mention the days of Pakaba, then that of Ernest Bai Koroma, and up to this current President Bio. So I think, according to the police head, the media director of the Sierra Leone Police, Mr. Kamara, Mohamed Kamara, Superintendent Mohamed Kamara.
Brema.
No, it's not Brema. Brema is not more the director of media of police. It's now Mohamed Kamara. And he said they invited Edmond Abu Jr. to sit together to plan how they can go about this particular protest. That will not result to any violence so far. But he refused to honor that invitation. They extend SMS to him, he did not report. So they decided to come for him, that he had something to say, to interrogate him, to sit down to plan as far as this particular protest is concerned. So that has been the problem between them. But you look at the constitutionally, then you look at the police mandate, to save life and property. So that has been the argument. And Edmond Abu Jr. has his own argument, likewise the Sierra Leone police has his own argument in terms of national protest.
Okay, thank you very much, Pro Bailo Jallo. Let's go to Mr. Mansuri. Tija.
You asked the question, why did the protest fail?
Yes.
Because it was crackdown.
It was?
Crackdown.
Why?
That's how and why is subjected to arguments. Firstly, the police has always argued that in the interest of public safety and security, they have not been condoning or giving permission to people for peaceful protests or whatever protests they are saying. And also how, I mean, unfortunately the report did not capture how he was detained and how the police intervened in the whole situation in calling the protest even before it started. So in my opinion, I think it was cracked down. I think there's a fundamental argument here, which is the right to assembly and that of the right to public safety. And for officials, particularly those in the Sierra Leone police, they've always argued that public safety comes first, which I will tell you, that cannot be argued. But on the other hand, we know that in democratic societies, the right to peaceful assembly or demonstration or protest, that's something that, it's happening all across, civilized democracies. Unfortunately, our democracy is young, it's fledgling, and probably someone will say we don't need to take chances. But however, I think in moving forward, the Sierra Leone police and those, would-be protest organizers should find a way in ensuring that, yes, in as much as we don't want chaos, but we also will allow the people's right to peaceful protest. And I think that is fundamental in a democracy. For me, I think the significance of protest, there was a program being run by the BBC asking as to the impact of protest all across the world, and so many schools of thought had their views on that. And one thing that came out clearly is that protests are used to gauge public opinion on a government's particular policy or issue. And in this case, it seems as if the issue on the reduction or the removal of subsidy on fuel is ambiguous. And I think I would agree with Mr. Abu on the grounds that what's this subsidy thing? We need better clarification on it, because the last administration spoke about subsidy. This government is also talking about that, and we know it's as a result of conditionalities being given by IMF and other bodies on that. But again, fuel is a political commodity, and we know the last administration deliberately did not implement that request from the IMF and other institutions because they knew the repercussions it was going to have on them. And now it's clear whether the public we need to take our microphones and pens to the people and ask if they do favor the increment. And I think that's the message.
What they will tell you is they will not favor.
So meaning that Mr. Aboud, Mr. Edmonds protest has some grounds of legitimacy because it's reflecting public opinion. I think the policymakers,
reflecting public opinion is one thing, but then procedure is another thing.
Well, like Bailo said, he said they exchanged correspondences. The police said there was a need for better arrangement. So between the two, it seems as if already...
I think we already have a prescribed procedure here.
Yes, but...
When you want to stage a protest, whether peaceful or not, you have to go to the police. And you should be given permission to do that.
Yes, but we've also had then...
Otherwise, you could be taken as a rebel.
Well, it depends. Well, we've had lawyers arguing that, in fact, there's no need to seek the permission of the police. You only need the protection of the police. Some nigger minds have argued that.
But then when you fail to go through the police and they have not got any permission, and then you go outside to protest, and if something escalates, who bears the greatest responsibility? Is you.
The issue is not
so
going.
It's technical. You have to be careful.
The issue is not going through the police. It's obvious you must consult the police. But I think the legalized term there is whether it's the right of the police to restrain people to protest or not to protest.
I think it's their right because they're responsible for internal security.
Yes, but that's subjected also. The Constitution also gives rights to people. To freedom of assembly.
We have an expert in the studio anyway. Let's go over to Kelvin. And let's hear from him.
Yeah, let me just take the cue from where you stopped. There is the legal framework for protest or processions or whatever you want to do in the public domain. There is the legal framework. It is clear that everybody has the right. But we are looking at the procession or protest infrastructure, I could say, quote and unquote, in Sierra Leone, in Freetown in particular. In other countries, we have public squares where people could go do their thing without any hindrance to the general public. But in this our setting, we are so lacking space. So what I'm craving is for the authorities to at least, because this is part of democratic arrangement, they should provide a space where people could go and protest without disturbing the public movement. Because definitely if you want to go to parliament with a huge number of people, it's either you disturb the traffic flow at Circular Road and take it from Rokel School and go to Parliament. And then if you are coming down, you have to disturb ONS, you have to disturb Tawel Kindergarten School, and you have to disturb PPRC, you have to disturb Vice President's office, and then you come to State House or Cotton Tree if you want to. So in that case, there is a need for the police to have a tete-a-tete with the demonstration organizers so that they could provide routes, numbers of people, because for the fact that we do not have a protest infrastructure available. For example, in countries like the US and other big cities, you have public squares where people just go, they converge without the pedestrians even knowing that something is going on. But if you want to do it now from Stadium or from St. John to Cotton Tree, the traffic flow will definitely be disturbed. And you need to plan with the police, because the police could be moving up and down with VIPs, with sirens, ambulance will be moving, so they will give you the route. You should go and plan with them. That's it. And the other thing is, it is not an issue of force that you should engage the routes where vehicles use. If there is a point, for example, at Taylor Cummings Garden, the government make it protest friendly and leave it there. They should not be scared that when people are protesting, they will be causing violence. They just want to bring out something that the government need to hear. And then government should have a mechanism where people will come, listen to their protests, take their messages, and then give them feedback. That's a way to do. So I'm seeing a situation where maybe this government could make it a novelty or an innovation, that they could provide spaces where people are sure to do their protests and government listen, than you leave people not protesting, you understand, and they harbor some grudge and they do something otherwise, or you allow them to protest, then they interact with the public, they block traffic, and then hoodlums infiltrate their ranks and then cause major problem that the police could not handle. So in order for the police to nip it in the bud, that's why I think they are calling on protest organizers to come sit and plan, because they have to take the routes because of the present lack of protest infrastructure. But if the government now is smart enough, and I believe they are, they could look at a situation where they could say, okay, we reserve this place for protest. Even the best democracies in the country.
Look at Freetown. Where do we have a place?
We could. There are places around State House where you can look and transform.
No, you cannot allow protesters to go to state.
We can, because that's the reality, because the people want the government to listen.
Exactly.
So if the government provide that atmosphere, they won't even need the police. They will just come there, converge, and have their placard, and then government snap them.
Don't you think that would be too much again? It would be too much.
They do protest
so many people
every day
advantage
at the White House, at the United Nations.
Yeah, but United States is completely different from Sierra Leone.
This is what we are copying from. We are copying from the presidential democracy system, both from the United States and others. And they are encouraging, even number 10 Downing Street, there's a public square where people protest every day for Brexit, no Brexit.
Yes.
And from their
but Kevin, let me also challenge you.
And they are not blocking traffic.
We've seen people using WhatsApp, social media, Facebook, and all of those in the developed countries. When it comes to Sierra Leone, they're abusing it. So you create a space and call it, I'm afraid, people will abuse.
Let's try it. Let's try it. No, they will not. It's an open. You don't need an open space.
Madam Lucian, one thing I think we should establish: it's not a crime for people to protest.
I know.
And undemocratic governments all across the world will clamp down on protests because they are fearful of the fact that it will be used to see them out of power. The Arab Spring is a case study. All over the world, governments will not want their citizens to protest, but it should be tolerated because it's, like Kevin is saying, it's part of the democratization process. And for us in Sierra Leone, we should not give the public that kind of impression that, oh, whenever people want to protest, it's going to be chaotic. Have we tested it?
But we've seen demonstration turned into something else. Yeah, you have hoodlums coming in, you have these clique boys all over the place. They will come and begin to use the knives and machetes of people, stealing people's properties, blocking traffic everywhere.
They do it for...
Is that what you want to see in
They do it in sports occasions. They do it on public holidays.
Well, that's the reason why police always comes out.
So what are we saying? Okay. This is the right of the public to express their... If it's their joy, mind you.
And they should be given the space.
In some countries, you have pro-government protesters and anti-government. We've not even gone to that point yet. So I think for me as a journalist, one thing we should help the public to understand, it's their right, but it should be done in accordance with the law. And for the police, they should not stifle that space for the public to vent out their feelings, be it good or bad.
Okay, thank you very much. We're holding it there. Let's quickly go to the text messages. It's quite an interesting one, but we have to be careful as a nation. Although people have their rights, they should also have their responsibilities. Sure. You cannot just go about blocking streets and then staging protests. Why? Okay, we all know how we respond to such issues. You know, you have people who are just waiting for the opportunities to be created. They come in and then cause mayhem. We have click boys. How can you control them? You cannot. Anyway, let us go to the text through the text messages. If anyone applied for permit to protest and the police did not give him or her clearance, but you go ahead, anything that comes out, you are to be blamed. And this other one says, good morning, Inside the Media. I like this program, from Bumbuna. And this other one says, Inside the Media, what is wrong with the press review program? We did not hear or view it throughout the week. I like that program from Lanske Wellington. Lanske press review comes up next week. So just stay tuned. You will watch the program. Another one says, I think the 21 days is long for those who want to stage protests. I am suggesting 1 week so that the police will be prepared to perform their duties. And this other one says, I think the government should take their time to look at the criminal libel law and find a suitable law to replace it. This other one says, I looked at the whole issues in Sierra Leone as if we are not learning anything as a nation. Let's try to be more nationalistic and professional, full stop. Failing to do that, then we go te-deo from matters of the heart. Okay. And this other one says, if you apply for a permit to protest to the police did not grant you because security situation, but you go ahead and any problem that comes out of that protest, you will receive the blame. I'm saying 21 days is too long. Let's reduce it to 7 days. They are both wrong. And this one says, Edmond has no right to go to a protest without the permission of the police. We should respect the institutions which which have been set to man certain affairs, from lecturer J.Y. Mahol. Okay, and we are moving on to the more of the WhatsApp messages. This one says the arrest of Edmond Abu Jr., who was leading a peaceful protest against the government's decision to raise the cost of fuel and other petroleum products. We see such a move as betrayal of the trust of the people who have placed their trust in the new administration. We look up to free society devoid of political intimidation and violation of human rights. Amadou Spido at Leicester sends this one. And this other one says, success is only successful if succeeded by a successful successor. And I know you are the successful successor. I will never stop wishing you success. This is coming from an ardent viewer of Inside the Media. Okay, more messages, but we still have one more interesting program, and we are moving on to that last one. It says the heavy downpour of rain in the last few days have left some people very worried in certain communities. Patrick Salia takes a look at Freetown's most popular coastal slum, Crew Bay. Let's hear the report.
Continues to be threatened by flash floods every year in the peak of the rainy season. The rains usually start to strike panic on the residents here from July and eventually forcefully evict some who fear its consequences. But the few days of downpour so far, according to Mohammed Papani Kagbo, Secretary General of the Area Development Committee, has posed very little or no threats to them.
We have been taking precaution, and also I refer it to the general cleaning that has taken place this past weeks, first cleaning and the second cleaning. It makes it better. Nothing of anything accidental has happened, or we haven't got any flooding seriously that will affect people as yet.
Regardless of how safe Mohammed claims the situation has been for them so far, they are however worried.
Flooding is our perennial problem. At any time it is raining, especially during the month of June, July, August and September. We always have rain, and when we have rain, this flood. So we are worried about it.
Over the years, it has been disastrous for Mohammed and his colleague inhabitants here at the Freetown municipality's biggest coastline slum. The exact cost can't be measured.
When we flood, it becomes disastrous. Water enters into people's houses, properties were destroyed, local communities like sugar, rice, etc., etc.
Samuel Cox Kuruma is the vice chairman of the community. Himself and the rest of the management committee for the first and oldest of the 3 community schools have been doing all they can to keep a better protective 3-classroom structure.
So due to the flooding in the community, maybe schools don't become dilapidated at this moment. So but because of the structural SMC of the school, we came together and decided to give it this wall temporarily so that it could avoid the flooding for entering into the school. As you can see now, the school is almost in shamby condition, and we are now trying to refurbish it so that it can be good for the children. Despite we are getting a little bit of problem in the school, like the leakages and other problems like the flood when it comes, it's entered into the school.
This Crew Bay Community Primary School here, constructed by Plan International in 1994, is currently in a very bad shape as a result of the heavy floodings that have been taking place here in this community. This school actually, community people have told me, was constructed with about 14-point-something million in 1994, simultaneously with this bridge by the same Plan International, and this bridge is estimated at around 7 million euros at the time. But as it is right now, both infrastructures are in a very bad shape, in the brink of collapse.
The solution now to the Crew Bay flooding condition, Mr. Kagbo tells the SLBC, is for them to be assisted by constructing what they call the Crocodile River and the Samba Gutter, 2 major drainages that empty at their community from different areas in the municipality.
If those 2 areas are embarked, I think it will prevent flooding, even not prevent flooding, but minimize flooding. well, to those two areas and the other small drainages, if they are properly constructed, I think it will minimize flooding.
SLBC News in Freetown, Patrick Salia reporting.
Well, that's it. You've just heard the report there by Patrick Salia, the investigative journalist. Now, let's look at Kube. You know, you've seen and heard from the people there expressing their concerns over the heavy downpour of rain. You know, most of what comes out of Freetown filters at Kube, and it is getting very, very dangerous on a daily basis. And some schools of thought will tell you that those people should be relocated to safer grounds. But let's look at the Kube issue. I think I want to start with Kelvin there for this one.
As far as I'm concerned, I don't want us to put Kube at the map. I think we are stigmatizing them when it comes to disaster stuff. In fact, the way the disaster is now, you don't need to be at Kube to experience it. Even Donda State, inside the city, even Charles Street, Robert Street as the case may be, you see a whole lot of debris coming down on that road because of flash floods that are coming from the mountainous regions. We've made a mistake before and we are not admitting to it and we do not want to correct it. Kube had been there since the 1800s and it was the same Freetown that was bringing water down there. And they were surviving. In fact, they expanded. In fact, in that constituency where I live, 125, Kube is the most populated area within the constituency. And they are still there and their population is going up. I don't want us to keep stigmatizing them. Disaster, flash floods is for us in Freetown because of our torrential rains and our climatic makeup. So what we should do is, we've made a mistake by allowing people to build settlements on top of these hills, and then the rainwater is not sinking anymore, so it just washes the topsoil and comes down, and you can see it at Pademba Road, Kamsi Junction, at PWD roundabout, PWD Junction, and all the underlying areas, and other even new areas are coming up, the Moritown Junction and all the rest of it. So I don't think we should squeeze Kube people to take them off there. We take them off there, we'll take them elsewhere. The other areas are flooding. So this is the thing. So I don't want people to stigmatize the Bay people. And there are other people in other disaster-prone areas. Well, listen, there has been no death.
Kevin, I'm suspecting you for Kube.
At Kube. It's part of my constituency. I know them, I used to visit them. And they are just like a scapegoat when people fail to plan or people fail to take action to mitigate these disasters. They just lash at Kube. But Kube is Kube and it's there, it is set, and not death so far.
Yeah, but they bear the heavy blows.
But they are saying they are convenient. They said, remove the slum from us, but don't remove us from the slum because we want to be here.
It is left with government to decide.
60 or 70% of them now have raised their houses to a point that when flood water comes, it just passes through their drainages and then go to the sea.
And when you have to go to and lie down to sleep, you have to climb some kinds of stairs.
All those are just stereotypes, but that's not the case at Bay any longer. But they deserve better, and we, the citizens of Freetown, deserve better in terms of flash floods, not Bay alone.
Okay, thank you very much, Kelvin. Yes, Mr. Tijan Mansare.
I think I'll take a cue from what he said and probably elaborate a bit on the country planning aspect and the improper environmental policies we are having mixed up with that of the implementation. But in the long shot, I think firstly we must change our habits when it comes to the way we deposit refuse, particularly on drainages, but also there is a need for thorough country planning, and it's been there are slums all across the world, and it's about how you manage them. And for us, I think we need a strategic approach in managing our slums, and not only the slums, I mean areas that are disaster prone, because apart of Kube, there are other areas we never expected, Motome and other places. So I think having a good environmental policy in place backed up with implementation of the right actions. Because I remember the committee on lands and environment, there was a joint committee on
I know you want to talk on something very important, but time is killing us here. Yes, thank you very much, Tijan Mansare. Emperor Bailojalo. You just have 1 minute and let's wrap up.
No problem, thank you. As far as Krube community is concerned, even though Kevin seems to be a very good public relations officer for that community, but Krube is not a conducive place for human beings to live. And that space has been in existence for the days of Adam and Eve. The people there also have their own stories. They don't want to leave that space for another area to be relocated. But Freetown City Council is there to look into it very carefully and critically, because the lives of those people are at stake. In fact, I sometimes use that route just to see how people are living in that place. It's not a conducive place for people to live. Freetown City Council and even the residents of Krube community should also think that their lives are at stake at any time, at any moment.
Okay, thank you very much, Emperor Bailojalo. Before we go, let me take the final set of texts and WhatsApp messages. This one says, is it right for protesters to destroy the president's banner at Cotton Tree? This is wrong. Another one says, it shows they were up to something, so the police had the right to arrest them. Another one says, we should be grateful to the police for being proactive, because the ruling party guys, we are also well set to winch Edmund. Another one says, the police is not to allow demonstration. They are there to give security, not permission. And another one from the WhatsApp line says, I think Lucian is not against protests, but doing it at State House is, in a country full of hooligans, is risky. Another one says, good morning, Madam Lucian. In my view, I think we are getting it wrong. The police is not against protests, but processions. From Dennis Fraser, Tengme Town. And the final one for now says, Lucian, are you saying the right to protest should be abandoned because of fear of cliques and gangs? Well, I did not say so, but we have to look at the risk involved and then try to mitigate the effect of that risk. Anyway, thank you very much for being part of the program. I must say thanks to my studio analysts. Thanks to all of you there who sent in your comments as text and WhatsApp messages. Thanks to Stephen Daramola and David Williams for being behind the camera. Well, Isata Favor Hompa has been standing behind the machine there. Tosan Onyawere compiling us the text messages. Thank you for compiling us. And Sulaiman Samura, the strongman in the control room. Well, many thanks to all of us here. Before we go, quickly, the quote of the week. It comes from Oscar Wilde. It says, life is too important to be taken seriously. Well, on behalf of all of us, I have been your host. Lucian Ganda is my name. Do have a splendid weekend. Inside the Media returns on Saturday by God's grace. And until then, do have a splendid weekend and goodbye.